For me, it was hard in the beginning because I didn't know who I was. I knew who I was told that I was. I knew how people saw me. I knew how I kind of tried to play into how people saw me, positive and negative, but
Yeah.
I didn't know who I was. When I had that first flash of clarity, it was like, oh, I need to deepen this and I need to dive into who am I?
My name is Fana Asfa, and after doing the backbreaking work to save and reclaim my own life, my passion now is to help others do the same. Since writing my debut book, Sober Daughter, the amount of people that wanted more inspired me to create this podcast. This space is for both real people and industry professionals to share inspiring experiences and usable tools for us all to connect and heal ourselves together. In today's episode, we'll be discussing healing and spirituality with the talented and beautiful Alexandra Shipp. And remember, stay tuned to the end for some powerful tools to take with you. Our guest today is Alexandra Shipp, a multifaceted artist and acclaimed actress who you may know recently as writer Barbie in the blockbuster movie Barbie. She also appeared in numerous movies, Anyone But You, Oscar nominated Straight Outta Compton, X-Men, Aaliyah, so much more. As a writer, producer, plays the guitar, and her mom is a Kundalini teacher and a father who's a musician. This makes it absolutely fitting that she's sharing her healing journey with us. So I want to welcome you. How are you doing?
Hi, girl. I'm so good. I'm so happy to be talking to you. You're one of my most favoriteest humans. I'm your biggest fan, and I'm just really excited.
I'm so happy for you to be here. We have been wanting to do this. And, I just want to prep everybody to know that this has been such a beautiful journey, not only to be along with you, but to have you here sharing it with so many people. It's something that I feel that we all need to tap into. I'm so grateful that you're here for the Sober Daughter podcast. As you know, my sobriety was an entry point for me to start this work of deep inner healing and introspection and unlocking, the old programming and the coping mechanisms that were so unhealthy and the trauma and the grief that I went through, which turned into the book Sober Daughter, and now this platform for us to share what this healing work looks like, because I think we're starving for it. I think we need it, and to share it on so many levels. I know you've got some good stuff to talk about. So start us all off, because I know, but they don't know. What did your healing journey look like when it started for you? How did you know that there was something that you wanted to dig a little deeper on?
Let me just preface by saying Sober Daughter is such an incredible book. I've told you, but I'm just going to gag on my girl real quick. When I read this book, it brought me to tears. It inspired me, changed my perspective, and deepened the level of growth and understanding that I wanted to have as a woman, as a sober woman. Your book is just so incredible. So you asking me to come on and talk to you and dive deeper into this experience and this journey that we are on, have been on, are just beginning, right?
Mhm.
It's just the beginning. I'm so honored. Coming up on 3 years, babe, of friendship.
Yay. Let's
I
talk
know, how
about
great.
it.
Our anniversary is coming up.
It's
Um,
huge. It's so huge.
I think what brought me to this spiritual journey was specifically my sobriety. And I always had considered myself a spiritual person. Like you said, my mom's a Kundalini yoga teacher, my uncle's a Vedic astrologer, my grandparents were very in our Southern Baptist church in Phoenix. And so I had always considered myself spiritual. I hadn't defined what that was like for me. And I ultimately didn't think that I needed to until I came to sobriety and realized that my spiritual journey can be different than the spiritual journey of my family, my ancestors, what have you. What kind of really kicked it off was realizing that I needed something that was for me. I needed something that was mine.
Yes.
And I was able to kickstart that with sobriety and then just let it snowball because girl, has it just snowballed. Like,
Talk
we're
about it.
looking at an avalanche, you
Yeah.
know?
Mhm.
It's an avalanche of spirituality, of healing, of retrospective thinking and actions. And not only do I hold myself accountable to the way in which I move on this earth, but I have incredible women in my life who also do that for me. You are one of those women. My sponsor is one of those women. Therapist is one of those women. You know, I have women in my life who inspire me to be great and hold me accountable when I do something that is counteractive to that. And they'll be like, girl, hold up. Sound like you said you didn't want to do that.
Yeah. It's the math's not mathing. We
And
got
here you are.
uh-huh.
And that kind of just it becomes what it is. And you go, oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. Because we're trying to be better, Alex. Like, we're trying to do things differently because we're trying to heal in order to become the type of human that I know that I can be. And what was beautiful about reading your book was that you were trying to become the best version of you. And there was no specific comparison. There was no, oh, if I could only be like her. It was, if I could only be like the best version of myself. And for me, I really identified with that because I just want to be the best version of me. I don't want to be anybody else. I ain't got time for that. I also don't know what's going on in their mind, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
All I can do is be the best version of myself.
And you couldn't be anybody else if you tried. And nobody else could be Alexandra Shipp. Like, let's just let that be.
Period.
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 I love so much of what you're saying because I think a lot of people, there's physically being sober, there's an act of like I'm abstinent, I don't put substances in my body. And then there is a deeper dive you can do into
Mm,
who am I that was the person who needed to numb out so much? What was happening internally where I needed to hide and avoid and destroy and just really it's going against our spirit. We don't get to see that if we're still in the crazy, right?
yeah.
Like we can't see. I couldn't see. I needed sobriety to have like a little moment of like, oh, I might not actually like to live this way.
Hmm.
I might actually want to be kind of different. And I didn't know you can change. I didn't know that inner work comes outward. And I have seen that with you. So I know it's a fact and I know it's real. And the work that, you do, I've seen you just grow and deepen and evolve as a woman. And everybody knows we've talked about this so much in the recovery spaces, having women of color being examples of, we can change, we can adapt, we can soften, we can heal, we can lean on, we can ask for help. All these concepts I see you walking through all the time. And it's such an example. And I just, if I'm watching you, I'm like, how'd you do it? How did you do it? Like, how are you just glowing and effervescent and just, it's this ease and this kind of alignment that I know doesn't come out of thin air. I know you worked for it.
Yeah, I mean, it takes so much self-reliance, right? I was talking about it with a woman today, and it is that moment of breath. It's that moment of no mind-altering substance that then allows you to go, "Oh, actually, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to be like that." That's beautiful. That's the first domino flick, but we know that there's so much work that goes into that. And for me, it was hard in the beginning because I didn't know who I was. I knew who I was told that I was. I knew how people saw me. I knew how I kind of tried to play into how people saw me, positive and negative, but
Yeah.
I didn't know who I was. And so when I had that first flash of clarity, I was like, oh, I need to deepen this and I need to dive into who am I? Who do I want to be when I grow up?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I'm 33 this year and I am still a child. Like
So young.
I'm a baby. I know
Oh,
I'm a
yeah.
baby. And yet I'm an adult and I have to pay taxes. I mean, the IRS and I need to have a conversation.
I mean,
But
it's not play, it's like me too. It's like we just got sober.
I
Like,
know
let us
I'm
have
literally
a moment.
3.
Let us
That's
breathe.
all it is.
It's
But we have to do the work, and I think the work started with who am I? What do I actually like to do? Who do I actually want to be when I grow up? I think it starts with that, and then it's okay, how do I get there? Who
Mm,
have I been?
yeah.
Right? So like through program we talk about who we've been, but get kind of past that hump, we go, okay, well, who do I want to be? And I wanted to be a woman of integrity. I wanted to be a woman who showed up and shined and didn't just fly by the seat of her pants all the time. I wanted to be someone who had aspirations that were achievable. I don't want to just be a bazillionaire, right? I want to have, I mean, we do want money. We
I
like,
love it.
that is the world. People say more money, more problems. No, that
No,
is capitalism. That is patriarchy trying to tell us that we don't want these things. No, we need money.
honey. Uh-huh.
But there's a difference between material wealth and then the wealth that we get from the knowledge through spirituality, through
Yes.
relationships, through contact.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to be wealthy in all of the ways. I'm not just striving to be financially wealthy. I want to be wealthy in my spirituality. And I really kind of had to take a seat and look back and see what that was. I had to first define who my higher power was, right? Because if we're living in a quote unquote godless world, right? The blanketed umbrella of the term God, if we're living in a godless world, then like nothing matters.
Yes.
And that to me just never made sense. That to me just never sounded right. Why do we have souls and cognitive thinking and purpose if there isn't a higher power who has brought that to fruition? And so I kind of had to define who that was for me and what that looked like. And that meant unlearning what society had told me a higher power was
Yeah.
and figuring out what a higher power meant to me. And I think that was also one of the hardest things about my spiritual journey because I came in really angry at God. I came into the spiritual awakening really upset and really frustrated. As you know, being a Black woman in America is really frustrating.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I was looking at the hand that myself and my sisters have been dealt, and I've been like, God, that's so rude. I had to unlearn all of the ways in which I was angry at my higher power, and I
Yeah.
had to find ways to work with my higher power.
Yeah.
That spiritual journey started with where is the energy exchange, because my higher power isn't Santa Claus and I'm just sending them my Christmas wish list. you
No.
know it has to be a moment of giving thanks and asking for grace and strength and patience.
Mm-hmm.
Learning patience has been a major part of my spiritual journey. And the woman that I want to be, and I'm still on my way to her, I think that I will always constantly be striving towards her. I can see her. She's got really juicy curls. And when I see her and I go, okay, I want to be here, the closer and closer I get to her, the more solid I feel. But it took patience. And that's still something I struggle with, but that's still something that I can work with my higher power on daily. I'm like, girl, give me patience. Give me pause because I
Bro,
can
the
read them.
pause, the power of the pause. I mean, that's a game changer right there to just know that we can take a beat, take a second, and stop that initial impulse from being a reaction into that grace of a pause and turning it into a response. And that response can be an aligned response. And, that changes our course.
Yeah.
That changes everything. And I love you talk about the freedom to create your own higher power. And I think a lot of people that even that word higher power, like what does that mean? And it's, this connection to something larger than ourselves. And it really cracks in the face of the egos telling us it's I, me, mine, it's all me. I did it all. It's just me on this mountain. I'm alone. And we get to create something that we can connect to that's bigger than us, that can give us that hope and that strength and that courage. And I think it's a radical act when people share like you, that we get to create that. So many people, we like have these horribly abusive relationships with whatever religion brought them to, or like you said, the Santa Claus in the sky. I did good. God, where's my cookie? Where's my cookie?
Yeah.
And then we're pissed off, and then we're mad. And it's like, oh, I didn't learn any spiritual tools.
Yeah.
I'm just doing tricks for a treat. And, you know,
It's so true.
yeah,
But I sat.
but I
I
did this.
sat.
Where's my cookie? But the way you're explaining it, I love, because it's now what you're saying. We're building a personal relationship of like, how do I connect with something so much bigger that I can align with my values? I can align with my hopes and my dreams for this better version of myself that is actually better for the world, right? Because the person before, my spiritual guidance was, she didn't have anything to offer you. She was like,
Mhm.
make it, let's go, let's go, let's go. And then when all
Yeah.
of the things that I thought were me, my family, my house, even my job at the time, and I lost everything, I was like, oh, I'm destroyed, because I thought those were me. I thought that's who I was. And you said that unlearning, it's like, oh no, I'm this spirit, I'm this essence, I'm already in here. I just have to find it.
Mm.
And that
It's about kind of rewriting those old narratives in tandem with your higher power. And civilizations have been defining a higher power since the dawn of humanity, right? And so when we look at a lot of these various religions, the common theme is like, don't kill, don't cause harm, and take care of each other. And I think that modern day society has tried to be divisive and has tried to keep us apart. But a spiritual practice is more about connection
right.
than it is about self. And when we're living in self, we're shutting off all of our intuition. As human beings, we're pack animals, baby.
Yeah.
Like it was never about what can I take from you, but how can we share? And
Yeah.
so what I've found through a spiritual practice is a deeper connection, not only with myself and my higher power, but the people in my life, because I'm able to kind of bring all of those things together. And it's not about what we have, the house, the relationships, the money, the cars, any of that. It's not about that. Sure, we need shelter. We need to be able to get from point A to point B. We need to be able to feed ourselves. But the reality is that when we have this human connection based off of a connection to a higher power that allows us to grow and make mistakes and care for and take what we need and disregard what we don't, that's when we create that really beautiful high frequency way of living.
I love that. It's true that, the vibration within us elevates when we're not stuck in that anger, that horrible place of just, it's almost this hopelessness that I can't change, everything's doomed, and I'm going to just be miserable right along with it. And I've been there. I've absolutely been there. And I think what's offered in, healing practice of inner work, is we get to ask ourselves questions. Is there anything here that I can change? Is there anything here that I can let go of? Is there anything here that I can practice a little bit more compassion and love towards? And in that is so much freedom.
Mm.
And you just exude that freedom, because how do you navigate being in the industry that you're in, and being in such I don't want to assume it's toxic, but in a space that's very moving and grooving and image and all these things. How do you navigate that with now your spiritual practice and keeping yourself in alignment? How do you do that?
It's a solid assumption. It is a toxic industry. People are judged right off the bat. Oh no, she doesn't look the way we want her to look,
Yeah.
or what have you. You know, the I was talking about it with another actor friend, and I was like, because they've been working in the business for over 15 years as well. And I was like, the amount of rejection we have faced
Yeah.
is sadistic. And a lot of the time, it's not based on talent or aptitude for the job. It's
Mm.
based on a multitude of other factors. But I can tell you for a fact that who I am today is similar to who I was when I first got out here, in the sense that what has helped me to stay grounded in this industry is to remind myself that I'm no better than the woman next to me, right? Like, I am no better than anyone else in this room. And then over the last couple of years and deepening that spiritual practice, what I've found is that my integrity is definitive of the things that come to me. My relationship to my higher power is definitive of the things that come to me. The things I don't get are not for me. The things I do get are for me. And I have trust, because I have a higher power that I can trust, to know that she's doing for me what I don't know how to do for myself.
Yes.
And my favorite thing about having a conscious contact with my creator is that I don't have to deal with my problems the same way I used to deal with my problems. I don't have to solve all of my issues,
Yeah.
because sometimes that's just not for me. I
Yeah.
don't have to sit here and run the gamut. I say, girl, you handle it. I don't know what that is. I don't know why that is. I don't know how that is. And I know that my higher power is going to take care of it. So when I'm feeling, all of the fatigue of the rejection, when I'm feeling all of the fear and anxiety of the situations that come up within my industry, I let her handle it. I like to say, I'm going to drink my water and mind my business, and I know that you're going to solve that,
Yeah.
because I can choose my happiness. I can choose to sit here and be like, oh God, there's got to be a multitude of reasons for why something didn't go my way. Or I
Mm.
can just be like, you know what you're doing. I'm going to go over here.
So powerful.
My life is so much better knowing I trust my higher power so much so that I'm going to give her. That's our ego talking that says, I'll give it to you. No, she already had it. Okay. The illusion is that I had any control in the first place.
Yeah.
And so when I turn all of that over to her, because I need to feel like I'm doing something, right? So when I go, okay, girl, you handle it, then I can step away and I can hang out with my dogs. I can take care of something for my mom. I can focus on something that brings me joy, whether that's singing and playing the guitar, or sitting at my computer and writing little short stories, or what have you. Whatever I need that fills me up, meditation, what prayer, what have you. It's all up to her. It's up to the universe. It's up to the stars. It's up to Mother Goddess, Mother Gaia, all of it.
Yeah.
I have no control. Relinquishing the idea of control has
Mm-hmm.
brought me so much closer to being not only content, but in awe of the woman that I am becoming.
Yeah.
When
100.
I go, it's not, I can't help you. Someone's like, Alex, we need someone to fly the plane.
I
I
don't
can't
know
fly
how.
planes. I can't fly planes. you know and I'm not going to sit here and be racking through a flight manual trying to figure out how to fly a plane when I don't know how to fly no plane. Now, if
Yeah.
the camera's on, I'm going to sit here and be like, aye aye, captain, because that's my job. But like, in all actuality, I have no control. And
Yeah.
when I relinquish that control, I go, hey, she likes to play with makeup. She's gonna go play with makeup, and she's gonna try a new winged eye, and she's gonna look crazy, but she's gonna be doing it for her. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I stay in me. I stay grounded. I stay connected, not only to Mother Earth, but also Mother in the sky, by saying, you know what you're doing, I don't. So I'm gonna go and do something that I do know how to do.
Church. I mean, that is absolutely beautiful. It's the humility for me the absolute humility for me that is very hard for a lot of us to get to is to one, even understand that control is a concept and it's an illusion at that, that we never had it, and that the freedom and the power is in actually accepting that and enjoying that. Like that's a game changer. That's a script flip right there.
It's a perspective change, and it's saying, "I don't wanna live in 2D." What did you say the other day? We're living in 5D?
We're pulling from 5D. We're not settling in this 3D. We're not here.
Exactly.
Mm-mm.
Exactly. I'm trying to see 4K, baby. I'm trying to get that 2020. I'm trying to get
Yes,
that 2020 right here, right at that third eye, because that's all I have. You
yeah,
know, and I think what I find so interesting is that when I took out mind altering substances, my intuition went through the roof.
right, right,
Through the roof. And
right.
not to say that I'm like psychic and have magical powers. No. I
But you might.
I mean, I'm not gonna hold you. I might. I might. You know what? I would love that. I would love that. I grew up watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch and being like, like when are my powers coming?
Uh-huh.
Turns out I just need to get sober. I'm just kidding. But it is kind of low key because, all human beings have the ability to connect to frequency, to connect to source. Society and a lot of organized religion has told us that we have to turn away from that because that is putting us too close to God. That's devil worship. That's too much X, Y, and Z. And they tell us to numb ourselves. Take it a step further. They make alcohol super attainable. California, we've got 10 dispensaries on every corner.
Mhm.
It's so easy to fall into the trap of numbing,
Yeah,
especially in major cities, especially in the world. Because I'm like, you know what? I could be in nowhere,
and find
Texas,
it.
and be numbing. You know what I mean? So I'll edit that. When we numb ourselves, when we try and disconnect, we shut ourselves off from some of the most realist power human beings can have. And
Mhm.
so when I had taken all of those things out of my life and really sat there and was kind of like had my ear to the door and was listening, and I was like, so what's really good?
Mhm.
So what really is going on? If it's going on in here, it's going on out there. It's happening in someone else. Oh, it's happening with you. Do you want to talk about it? Yeah, let's talk about it with her. The next thing you know, we start a conversation. We're able to problem solve better.
Yeah.
We're able to create better. Once I stopped trying to numb myself, I realized how powerful I was and how I could step into that power holding hands with my higher power, not working against her, but with her in tandem.
Mhm.
Game changer.
Talking about substances and the numbing out is really such a radical act to turn that off, to decide to be present, to be here, to be connected, to be aware is a radical, radical, radical act. And I love everything that pushes against oppression, that pushes against this idea that freedom is beyond us, that pushes against this idea that, we are somehow held and in bondage. And the more that we get to understand, if I can practice awareness, if I can be full and clear, I can tap into what's already within. And that's what you're doing. You're sharing your light and your spirit. And that comes from source. We're all source. We're all here. But I love that you talk about, the trappings of this 3D material world. They want us caught up in the divisiveness. They want us caught up in me against you, the comparing myself. I mean, the worst things are, the compare and despair. If you succeed, I can't succeed. If
Mm-hmm,
you have money, I got to make more money. Like
mm-hmm.
all these illusions. And what we're learning is the abundance is within. Like, I'm abundant, you're abundant. We're meant to be abundant.
Yeah. We're
Everything,
made as the tree.
like everything
Yes.
on this planet. We were supposed to be here eating mangoes and loving each other and taking care of this earth, but we done fucked it up. And but we we can still we could still find that within. And it's like those moments of serenity and clarity, and people see it. They know it. They recognize it. And that's power. That is that inner power when you are in full agency of yourself and you're like, oh no, I'm clear. I'm right here. We here, you
Yeah.
know?
I was talking to a friend and we were talking about spirituality and she was like, I'm so ready for that. I want to be that woman already. And I was like, baby, you already are.
Yes.
Just don't see it yet. I can look in the mirror and I can say that I don't like whoever is on the other side of that mirror. The reality is I want to be great. I got to know that it's already inside of me.
Mhm.
It's already there. It's just a perspective change. It's putting on glasses when you haven't ever had your eyes tested and you thought the world was just fuzzy.
Yes. I love
You know, it's
it.
like, have you ever seen those videos of people who are colorblind and then they put on glasses and they're finally seeing color, like
Yes.
whatever way is different from how their vision had already seen it, and they're like, that's green. Yeah,
Yes.
baby, that's
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
You. We are multifaceted. We are sacred geometry. We are not just a circle or a square, you know? We've got angles and curves and really sharp points and long, beautiful, swooping lines. There's so many different things that make us great and make us special and individual. It's not just a thumbprint, it's literally our soul, our being. What I've asked myself for 2024 is, what do I want?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What do I want? And one of the answers is I want to be more present. And that comes from me allowing my higher power to do what she gonna do because I can't stop her. That's crazy.
Uh-huh.
And that's about being with the people that I'm around, being with my animals. That's about me being with myself and sitting in silence if I need to. You know, it's a connection to self and to seeing other people as spiritual beings having a human experience
Mm.
and cohabitating with them, whether that's in a restaurant or in the back of an Uber or at the house or whatever. You know, it's a connection to source via what we attract.
Yeah. I love that you said cohabitating because I think so many of us think, the self-love, the self-care, the self inner work is for us to just sit with self all day long. And it's like, no, 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 no. We're doing all this work to cohabitate, to connect, to engage, to be a part of. And I think that's so beautiful that your resolution was to be present. And that's a hard thing to look at, how much time we're actually putting into disconnecting. Because I could do it real quick. I can I can
Oh
forget.
yeah.
And I'm just like, oh no, I was decompressing, like, you know? And I'm like,
Yeah, well, it's I love numbing my brain.
mhm,
I
mhm.
love numbing my brain. It's my favorite thing on the planet. It's a sometimes food. You can be the healthiest person on the planet Earth and still want a large fry from McDonald's. It's
Yes,
a sometimes food. And when I am sat on my phone scrolling through Instagram and all of these different social media apps, I'm comparing myself. It's impossible. It's statistically proven that I'm going to sit here and I'm going to compare myself to so and so who's got this big beautiful life that I want.
mhm.
I really don't even know why I want it. I think it's because maybe you see all the likes and you're like, well, 3 million people liked that. So I
Yeah,
must want that. It's scientifically proven that we can make ourselves sick. So, in order to stop comparing myself to others, in order to stop trying to force my will, not her will, thy will be done. If I'm sitting here going, oh, I have really pretty long hair. I really want pretty long hair. And I just have short hair. Then
yeah,
I'm totally taking away from the fact that I have decent strands coming out of this skull. You
you
know what I
got
mean?
gorgeous, gorgeous curls.
It takes away from me. And it's not to say, well, that, oh, well, you have to have short hair and you have to have long hair. No, yours is yours, mine is mine. Both of them are beautiful. I'm going to be present. I can't try and enforce my will, and I can't let other things come in and make me feel less than the greatness that I know my creator made me to be.
Oof.
It
Yes.
just doesn't serve me.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I still have social media. I mean, I like to have social media. One, two, because the recipes on like TikTok and Instagram, unparalleled, unparalleled. I don't care who
Yeah.
you are, unparalleled. Also, like it's a facet of my work working in the entertainment industry. And so it's regulating for me. It's a sometimes food. And I had let it rule my life for so long. And it's so funny that when we take out one thing, it's like whack-a-mole. When we take out one thing, I go, okay, I don't want to use mind-altering substances anymore. Up pops a social media app that is what? A mind-altering substance.
I know.
I was having a good old day until I saw, Duckworth dive into a pool full of gold coins. And now I want a pool full of gold coins. You know what I mean? It's a
Yes.
mind altering substance. So it's fine. Love Instagram and TikTok for educating me on what's going on in the world via firsthand experiences through
Yeah.
videos. Also, thank you for the meal plan ideas and thank you for like a yummy crock pot idea. The other stuff, I'm gonna put my phone down and I'm gonna kiki with one of my girls. What I want to do is I want to share not only my wins but my losses with people because I see my higher power in the people in my life, whether it's women that I trust, whether it's some random person on the street. There's God in all of us, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
And I want to share my wins and losses with the people that I love and trust. And I want to hear what they got to say about it. Because sometimes I'll be like, I think I'm failing right now. And they got to remind me how good I am.
Yes. Mhm.
Sometimes I'm like, I'm killing it. And they're like, but you did that one thing you said you weren't going to do anymore. Oh, you're right. Thank you. Friends check each other. God channels through my friends. And she's like, girl, you was doing some sideways stuff. Or you killed that girl and you didn't see it. So I told your friend to tell you. Brilliant. Beautiful. That is connecting to my spirituality. We can connect to God through each other, not just sat in a lotus position under a Bodhi tree. That's beautiful, but that ain't always real.
Oh, speak about it. I mean, just keep coming, just keep coming. Because, I love it. I love it so much. It's when you talk about the act of being present and the connection that you bring. I feel that when I'm with you. And I know that that's this deep authenticity and this truth and this like, I'm going to show up however I'm showing up today. I'm going to bring you my full self, and I think there's so little spaces for us to do that anymore. It's like everyone talks about we're missing a third space. Like we used to have places to play and places to go to community and places to just have fun and be free. And now it's like work and your house and the phone. The phone is the third place. And like we can't live on the phone. We just can't. But we have to be there. So I like, telling people do a social scrub. Like make it work for you. Follow things that bring you joy or inspire you or help you. Figure out ways that if we have to connect, make it worth your while, because we have more control over our lives than I think we know. And I love that, what you're just sharing is like, I'm going to choose how I engage, even though right now everybody's saying, don't be vulnerable, don't tell people the truth, don't date, don't give too much, pull all the way back, keep everything to yourself. It's like, girl, I can't do it. I can't do it. Because I don't like, how do we continue to be connected and happy if all I'm doing is hiding from you? Like, we didn't do all this work to do that.
Yeah. As long as we're not causing harm, we're not too big.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a woman the other day say, I always felt too big and I had to make myself smaller to make other people feel more comfortable. And we're not too big. As long as we're not causing harm, because causing harm is massive. Okay. So as long as we're not causing harm, we're not too big. And the way that I look at things like social media is when I'm sitting in front of you, you can tell that my smile is fake. You just know. It's like,
Mhm.
Alex, how are you? And I'm like, girl, let's talk. Let's have a talk because you out here looking like that movie Smile, and that movie Smile is scary. It's some scary stuff, girl. Yeah, but you can't necessarily do that when you've taken 6 or 7 different selfies and you've chosen the best selfie and you've posted that. That's why I want to be present.
Mhm.
You know, I love that you said do a scrub because I think what's funny is I fell in love with a baby cow, aka a calf, last year.
I'm
I was
obsessed.
on I was on some random farm, girl, and I saw this cow. It was obsessed with me. We had several very beautiful moments, and so I fell in love with cows. And so I saw one cow video on social media, and I liked it.
Mhm.
And then I started following like cow life hashtags,
Have
and
to.
then I started doing these things. And when I tell you the amount of cow content that comes for me, and I be out here like I don't like when like our phones are listening to us. I know they are, but like
100%.
hear me when I talk about cows. You know
Yes,
what I mean?
yes.
My social media is now filled with cow content. It's like people I follow and cow content and then like astrology, right?
Yeah,
And
all it has to be in there.
I was able to change the narrative. So instead of sitting here being like, "Oh, look at all of these flashy lifestyles or look at all of these like before and after photos of people who have worked out or like gotten plastic surgery or whatever." Now it's all cows and farm life and then like add a little color to the mix. Now I got like all of these black farmers on my For You
Okay.
page and I'm like, "Okay, let's buy land. Okay, let's grow our own food. Okay, let's teach other black and brown people how to farm and how to till the land and how to grow and how to build houses and stuff." Now my content is looking completely different because I did a scrub of an idea that I had that I was looking for. And now I'm looking for a farm. Now I'm a cowgirl. You
I
know what
mean,
I mean?
I love that for you. I love cow life, Alexandra Shipp. Just, I mean, I see
Listen,
it. I see you with your curly cow, just living life.
curly cow is that
It's the
Highland
curly
cow,
cow.
girl.
It's always the curly cow. She's the cutest. She knows it.
I love cows. I love animals. And then, but it's all directing towards what type of a woman do I want to be?
Yeah,
What type of energy do I want to allow into my energy field? What am I not going to settle for?
right.
And I always thought I was too big. And I always thought I was doing too much. People, we'd be at a party and someone would be like, "Oh, I hate that girl." And I'm like, "What's like let's talk about like the planets." Like, I'm like vibrating on a different frequency right now and I really just want to like talk about real stuff and feeling really weird and bad about that. And now looking at it and going, if you're not going to meet me where I'm at, that's totally fine. We don't have to have a conversation. If
Mhm.
I'm not for you, I'm not for you. And if I am, please come have a seat.
Yes.
Please come have a seat. Let's talk. Let's talk about how we can grow together. Let's
Yeah.
talk about how we can support each other. Let's give each other some affirmations. Let's validate each other's greatness because we all have greatness and all of it is attainable and achievable. We
Mhm.
just forget because we get locked into a perspective that says we're not good enough, we are unworthy, we don't deserve. It's the dark side of our ego. Our ego either tells us that we deserve more or that we don't deserve what we have. I am totally fine being exactly who I am, exactly the way that I need to be, because that's how my higher power sees it.
Yes.
That's what's meant for me. Trust her judgment.
It's the trust. It's the
It's the
trust.
trust.
And I've seen it grow and grow and grow, with you and around you, because I think people who build that faith, right? It's faith that you will be taken care of and that you now have the liberty to actually expand and show up and take up space in this life. And as women, I mean, most of the reason I'm just obsessed with sharing all these different modalities and people healing and is because coming from a space where women have been oppressed, black, Blackness has been oppressed, the African American experience. And then if you have affliction, if you have mental health, you're oppressed. If you have addiction, you're oppressed. I mean, it just can go layers and layers and layers. And what we're doing is we're showing everyone, like, we can have those things. I can't have a substance that doesn't define me, that actually opened me up, that actually changed the game for me. You know, some people can have a mental illness, or they have OCD they're working through, or whatever, and now they have a different perspective on life. They have something different to offer. And that healing that we get, to really look in and say, like, who am I? Because I am not supposed to be just like you, and I don't have the same thing to offer just like you. What I have is completely this whole unique experience. And then we get to be here together. And I love that so much. And I love
We're so lucky.
so much. It's so lucky to be around people that can push the ego where it needs to be, because we can't live without it. But, you know, just let us be shoulder to shoulder. Let us help each other. And we talk a lot about big ideas. And before we go, I want to say, well, one, I'm just thrilled to have you and honored that you're here and sharing your light with everybody. And for anyone who identifies with you, anyone who's also an artist, who's also in the space, who's also sober or looking to heal, all these things, what are a few tangible tools or skills or just habits you use throughout the day? I'm talking day-to-day life, that really help you stay out of the fray, stay out of, you know, self punishment, self-hatred, all the things that just wash over us. How do you navigate your day?
When that inner monologue comes in and tells you, you suck, I hate myself, all of those things, I have to remind myself that if I hate me, I hate 5-year-old Alex. I saw this quote the other day that was like, I want to be the type of woman who would fight for a child the way that I deserve to be fought for. Because those intrusive thoughts come into our minds. And I struggle with mental health. I'm manic depressive and bipolar. And so when those things come up, I have to remind myself that if I hate me, I hate her. And I have to go, don't talk about her like that. Don't talk about my friend like that.
Mm-hmm.
I love her. I might not like what I'm doing right now. I love her. I can't hurt myself because I'm only hurting her. So that's one thing. And the other thing is when people are like, gosh, I don't have time to pray. I hear you. It's very hard. Gosh, I don't have time to meditate. I hear you. It's very hard. One of the quickest and easiest ways that I do it, which also helps if like you just want a moment to yourself and you don't want no one talking to you, is I will pop in one of my AirPods, go for a walk, either by myself or with my dogs, majority of the time with my dogs because they just love it. And I will have a kiki with my higher power. It's not me walking around going, blessed art thou. You know what I mean? Like, that's insane. But, I mean, if you want to, slay. But for me, it's I walk around and I go, I put my AirPod and I go, hey, girl, that person you sent me is awesome. I'm just praying for a little bit of patience and strength so that I can be the person that I need to be to show up for them. Hey, girl, I didn't get the job I wanted to get.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just praying for a little bit of guidance and understanding so that I can put myself in a position to succeed when you send me something else that is possibly for me. Hey, girl, I'm feeling a little lost right now. If you could send me a sign that I would be able to recognize that shows me that I am on the right path, I would be so grateful because I'm following your lead, girl. Or I'll be like, so and so came at me crazy. Girl, what was the point of that? Sometimes, and I know I'm not going to get a response. It's an AirPod, it's not even on. But I'll be like, what was that, girl? What was that? I have honest conversations with my higher power because my higher power and I are working together.
Yeah.
I may not necessarily know what my job entails, but I definitely know that she and I are keying and we're working together. And that's good enough prayer for me to feel that much more connected to my higher power and to know that I have a consistent dialogue. So when people want to talk about their conscious contact with God, that's good enough. Whatever you're doing is good enough. So it's take care of the little you inside of you and just key with your higher power. They're listening. And Lord knows we're listening too. I'm sitting here, I'm like, girl, what was the point of that?
I love it. I love it. It's so relatable and it's so easy to do. It's just we forget all the time that we have these tools and that they actually shift us and our energy changes, right? Don't you feel different after you've prayed or after you've challenged those negative thoughts? Do you feel like, oh, yeah, I got a little bit more confidence here?
Yeah, definitely. I think sometimes it's hard to get to that point. Our intrusive thoughts can be really loud. Sometimes it's a whisper, and sometimes it's someone shouting in the back of your head. But every time, even if it's just for a quick 2 seconds that I check in, I'm able to feel that much more in my body and in myself.
And that's all that matters, right? It's that we are connecting to something that gives us relief, that gives us a sense of being held and connected. And I know you do that for me. I know you do that for so many people. And I just want to thank you again for being here with us. You are such a light. You are such a force. And you are an example too that we don't have to dim. We don't have to dim. If we have to align is really what we're being asked to do, is align so that light shines where it needs to be. And you're shining where you need to be. And you're going
Thank
so many
you.
more places. So
Oh, thank you, Fauna. I love you. Thank you so much for asking me to come and do this. You know, you are such a guiding light in this world. You show up with so much love, and it is something that is a domino effect. It is an inspiration. And the
mm,
people that are attracted to that light have their own light that they want to then share. And it's just beautiful how you show up. Thank you for being you, for writing the book that you wrote, for creating this platform that you created. Thank you. Like you're literally making the world a better place and inspiring others to want to do that too. That's all we need. And that's literally all we got.
that's it. We're here for each other. We help each other. I'm so happy. Thank you all for joining us in today's episode of Sober Daughter Podcast. Be sure to check back next week where we have another incredible guest sharing inspiring tools and experiences for us all to heal and empower ourselves together. How do we connect with you, Alex?
Well, when I am on the social media, you
Uh-huh.
can find me at Alexandra Shipp with 4 P's, SHIPPPP.
Got it. And you can also connect with us to ask questions for a future episode at Sober Daughter on Instagram. And if you want to follow me and all the crazy stuff I'm always up to, at Fauna Aspa on Instagram. So thanks again for joining us. And remember, keep doing the good work.